Welcome, coaches, to the IFCA Journal podcast. I'm your host, PJ Hedrington. I would like to welcome our guest, the living legend from Loris College, Lonnie Moore. He is the head football coach of Waterloo West. He's been there as a coach 26 years, 17 years as the head coach. Before that, he was at Deerfield in Illinois. He's a two-time Ed Thomas Coach of the Week, one-time district and regional coach of the year. He's been in the playoffs 6 years. He's also coached on the Shrine Bowl, and more importantly, he's a great husband, a great man, a great father, but he's a great community leader. People that know him in Waterloo, man, I tell you what, they're nothing but nice words about him. He's one of our pioneers as an African American coach in our state. He's the guy that carries the torch behind the guys like Andre Minks, Keith Hanks, myself, and other guys. And I have the honor, the true privilege to talk tonight with my man, Lonnie Moore. What's up, dude?
What's up, P? How you doing, man?
You know me. I'm just fighting a cold, but I'm chilling, dog. I'm doing well.
I got your same thing on this end, man.
I'm
Thanks for
doing
having
well.
me, though.
Hey, thanks so much for getting ready to share your program with our coaches and the people out in the social media atmosphere. We truly appreciate you. And again, like I said, man, I hear a lot of positive things about you in Waterloo, and it's great. So, all right,
Appreciate you.
yep, our topic, of course, is building a program in the metro area. If many of you aren't familiar with Waterloo, oh man, they had Tyson's there for many years. Is it still there?
Yeah, Tyson's still here.
Okay,
Deers is also a big one. They did have some plants back before
yeah,
I got here. So,
yeah,
we had three high schools at the time.
yeah,
A couple of those left out, and then they had to go to the two high schools, and that Central High School became a middle school. So,
yeah.
population has declined a little bit, and we went down to two high schools.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, coaches, if you've never been to Waterloo, it's really kind of a melting pot. I mean, it takes you back. It does. It takes you back. When I get there, I'm reminded of home a lot. You know, a lot of things, a lot of buildings, and a lot of structure in the metro. So it's pretty nice place, pretty good area. All right, Lonnie, here we go. Let's start with number one. What's your coaching philosophy?
Okay, my coaching philosophy, man, it's changed over the years. When I was younger, I was really stuck on the X's and O's and thought those were the big things and that kind of stuff. But I'm really big into relationships. I think that's really important before anything for my coaching philosophy is trying to keep, have a relationship with our kids and our families and they're committed to our program. I think it helps develop our kids for their accountability, discipline, gives them confidence in what they want to do in life later on. I think that's probably more important than anything. Our kids live real life challenges here in Waterloo, and just like most other places. But we want to make sure that in our program that we are consistent with them. We have a structured plan and believe in what we do. So we make sure we love them hard, but coach them harder, and the standards stay the same no matter what the circumstances are, because we want to make sure we have a hard. We're gonna know our standards are very high, and let's try to meet them at those standards.
Okay, good, good, good. All right, what's your program philosophy for your overall program that you got?
So our program, we have a thing called the gold standard. We've started that maybe 6, 7 years ago. Where we have some core values in our gold standard. We want to be accountable, loyal, respectful, disciplined, and have some passion in what we do. And with our gold standard, what we do is we do a couple of things, inside our program where we have these gold jerseys that our kids every week, position-wise, get voted. So it's six of them, and those six players who have lived up to our core values on and off the field. So we check attendance, we check grades, we check, not only just on the field. We're not looking at game day, practice, everything. We're looking at everything that comes. Those six players get to wear those gold jerseys, so they get to wear them throughout the week. It's an honor. We blast it on social media, especially to our families and things, so they see who are the gold standards of the week, and it works real well for us. And our kids really strive for that every week. And there's no everybody get a chance. I mean, it could be a kid to get it three weeks in a row. That's the kid that's getting it done. That's the kid that's getting it done. So that has worked real miracles for us and with our program and with the gold standard and our beliefs with our core values.
Nice, nice. Now, do your players vote on that, or it's just your staff?
It's just position coaches. So every position coach on our varsity, we want to do it on the varsity level right now.
Okay, okay.
Our position coaches do it, and they vote on, for their position. So that's why we got the six gold standards.
Okay, cool. I like that. I like that a lot. That's what, and you do you feel like that helps the team a lot better and that helps kids stay focused during the season?
It does, and it makes sure we put in the forefront our core values. It's not like just said at the beginning of the year. We talk about what core values they reach and how they help them what they did to get to where they is and get the jersey on. So it's presented to them every week. It's not like something we talked about at the beginning of the year and don't talk about it again ever and ever. So we wanted to do something that was going to be consistent throughout the year that our kids understand, what we're looking for.
Nice. I love that. I love that. All right. You were talking to me earlier about your philosophy and then your program philosophy, and you said how you kind of led into this question already, how it's changed and how it's adjusted. But with some of the challenges we face now in our society, how have that philosophy for you how did you have to adjust for all that? Where kids are pulled different sports or different jobs or different things, economical system, like anything. How has it changed?
Again, I'm more about relationships, and I understand that kids have other things. Especially in our program, we got some kids that need to work or watch their siblings sometimes,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
those things. So we want to just make sure relationship wise, we understand what they're going through, them to understand what we can do to work with them. We want them to be out for football. We want them to be part of our program. So that's some of the things that, program wise, we want to try to help with the kids in our program. And we go back to that stuff I talked about earlier. We want to build leaders. We want to make them accountable, mentally tough. And that way we do that by connecting with them. So that's something that, as I said before, I did not do in my earlier days that I've done, within the last 10 years. I really have honed in on just relationships and being with the kids and understanding that's more important. And as they say, players want to know how much you care before they want to, what was it? Before they care how much you know. I heard that 10 years ago and I truly live by that to the day.
Yep, that's true. I like that. All right, what's your participation numbers like and the talent level? Now I know again you got Waterloo East around you, you've got Waterloo Columbus, you've got Don Bosco, you got some 8-man schools pulling in kids, Cedar Falls. So what's your participation numbers like and what's your talent level like year in, year out? Because I was again in the metro in Des Moines. I mean, your kids are getting pulled everywhere and people are pulling them and all the things. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So, our numbers fluctuate throughout the year. We consistently probably around 100. Sometimes we can get up to 120. We might even go under 100, especially around COVID. We had some problems there, but we got them built it back up. But,
Hmm.
that's our numbers can be different. It really just drives on how our kids want to be out. Understand that, football is important, but we kids with transportation issues and things like that that we got to try to work with and try to help those kids in those things. But talent wise, I really believe we have some of the same talent any other school have. Or we have some of the same guys. We take some of our top five guys. We can compete with any other top five schools. It's just one thing we work on is just we got to have better depth. So that's why we try to make sure
Right.
we
Yeah.
not only talent wise, we want to develop and kind of retain the talent. We want to keep them out for football and then and get those things going. But production wise, we got to make sure we're working with them as young as possible. Understanding some of the philosophies and things that we do as a program so it becomes easier when they get to the high school level. And also, when they're at the high school level, making sure every step is important for them. So the only difference with us is what our program is, and I think it'll lead in something else. But our school districts look different than others. We don't have a true feeder systems. We don't have the kids that's going to go truly to west or truly to east or those
Mm.
things. It's not the
Mm.
same here. So it's a little different.
Wow, yeah, that's tough. So so how do you build your middle school programs in that way?
Well, we try to just give them the basic fundamentals and things on that we want them to work with the coaches. What I mean by that is, here's the situation in Waterloo where any kid can go to East High. Any kid, don't care where you live at, if they want to go to East, they can go to East High.
Mm.
No kids cannot come to West though, because our numbers are a lot bigger. It's one of the reasons and things like that. But so we have to kind of recruit our own kids.
Wow.
Recruit our own
Yeah.
kids to stay in our district, to stay where we at, those things. So we can lose a kid if they want to go to East. If they want to go to East with their friends or whatever, they can leave the West district and go to East. But we can't go recruit kids from East to come to West. That's just not what it is here.
Wow.
So that's the situation where we got to be more visible out with our community, with our coaches. Right now I'm coaching middle school basketball. I got three other coaches that's coaching middle school basketball. Another one doing middle school wrestling. We show up to events and those things. So that's the things we have to do to make sure we're visible for our kids and be represented.
Well, yeah, you have to be seen. That's how you sell your program, right? That's how you keep your numbers growing,
Definitely,
and
definitely. We have to be seen and
keep those
yeah.
kids involved with you. Yeah, no, I that's cool. Yeah. But so is there one middle school that feeds into you guys or how's it work?
Well, it's 4 middle schools, one particularly, which is probably the biggest middle school, in Waterloo. It does feed into us. Again, those kids can go, to East. And then there are some kids that's live in the East that go to these schools. They probably can go to, it's called Hoover Middle School. They can go to Hoover, but then end up going to East because that's the district they're in. We have four middle schools. Carver Middle School is also probably predominantly East. And then the other two is kind of split, where Bunger and Central is kind of split. And those kids can go either way. So we don't have like the true feeder system, and it kind of hurts us a little bit, especially at the beginning of the season. When you play a school that's like this year, our freshmen played Dyke first game, and you can just tell the
Mm,
difference. Those kids been playing together probably since fourth grade, and our
right.
kids are just
Yeah.
coming together as ninth
Yeah.
graders that first game, and then you watch that game, the first game, and you go back and watch week 7, 8, 9. We're a whole different team. So it just it takes a while just to get that camaraderie going.
Okay, all right. So you again, you went right into my number 4 when we were talking about bridging the gap with your middle school program and your youth programs. How do you do that? Because it sounds like the challenge. You got the middle school program that you got to bridge into the high school, and you got to keep your kids, and then you add kids. But what's your youth to middle school process like?
Well, football wise, we have a youth program called the Junior Warhawks. I mean, that program is ran by one of my former players. He takes care of that, and what we do is with those, we try to make sure those guys are learning and having fun in the game. Because one thing I learned when I first took over, we didn't have the numbers, and I go back and ask those kids, did you play football when you was younger? Yeah. Why don't you play now? Well, they put me in line, and I didn't want to play line, and then you look at the kid at when time he got to high school, he's not a lineman anymore. So we had to make sure we did whatever we could to make sure our kids are having fun and they're enjoying it. So we try to stay on that. He does a good job with that. Middle school wise, we just make sure ourselves are visible. Make sure we talking to the coaches. We have camps they go to and things like that we can make sure they're doing what they need to do. But that's probably the most important thing. Especially I think it's really important for us at this time where all us is all doing basketball and those things is being around those kids, knowing those kids see us coaching, seeing us around. I think that starts it off right away with that relationship with those 7th and 8th graders.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Good stuff. Good work. All right. How many coaches do you have on your staff, and how do you develop and grow your staff and yourself?
Well, right, I'd say last year we had 12 coaches. Of the 12 coaches, 8 were paid coaches because that's what the Waterloo Community Schools does for us, give us 8 full-time coaches. We can't split any contracts, anything like that. So I have 4 volunteers on my staff to get us 12 coaches. So we have really good coaches. One thing about it with our coaches, things that we do is, our coaches got to wear multiple hats because we don't have enough to do. We don't have a special teams coach and a kicking coach. I'm the special teams coach. So I work with our special teams especially through our program, and especially with the varsities, things like that. So you might have to coach DBs and receivers, so
Right,
you won't
right.
be able to just do one thing and those type of things. So some of the things we do with our coaches, we make sure we go to clinics, talk to other schools. We've been to other places. We've been to Loris College, talked to their staff. Just talked to the University of Dubuque coach yesterday, trying to figure out a time we can get down there and do those things. I know we talked to Minnesota State a couple years ago. So we get out as a staff and go talk to other staffs and see what they're doing and that kind of stuff. But that's what it all starts with, just getting our coaches to understand, we got to learn other ways of, because our kids, we got to figure out the simplest way to teach football for our kids and try to make it easy and fun for them so they can play fast. So our coaches learn those type of things in the same way, teaching it the same way.
Okay. All right. Oh, that's good. Good, good, good. All right. Now we're getting into the meats and potatoes. Okay. We're just moving on, man. You're kicking butt here. All right. What's your offensive, defense, and special teams philosophy? So you talked about your coaching philosophy and your program philosophy.
Mhm.
Now we're getting into the X's and O's. What's your offense, OD, and special teams philosophy? What's that?
Same thing I tell everybody when people ask me that question. We are player driven more than scheme driven, system
Okay.
driven.
Okay.
Because just like I don't think it's any different than anybody else, but we got to take a look to see what we got and try to make it easy for our players and put them in positions to be successful. We want to simplify our schemes, whatever we do, and also like play calling wise, we go to one word play call, especially offensively and defensively now on one word play call, so our kids know exactly what to do. Offensively, we go players over plays is, same thing as we talked about with player driven. We stress every drive needs to end on a kick. We have different lot of formations and motions. Simple plays, we might add some tags to them so it looks like different plays. Those type of things offensively, but we just want our kids to play fast and we want them to play just under control and understand what they're doing. Defensively, same thing. We're going to hammer the fundamentals. We're going to do that more over scheme. We don't have a bunch of things you're going to see us do. But we're going to learn the fundamentals and do those type of things. So my offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators do a great job with the kids and make sure we keep it simple for our guys.
Okay.
I guess I let special teams out. I'm a special teams coordinator.
I was getting ready to say. I was giving
Yeah.
you a minute. Go ahead.
Special teams, I know how important it is. That's why I do it. We treat it just like offense and defense. We work on special team skills every day. So right before practice, we're catching punts, we're catching kickoffs. We're working on all special team stuff right away at the beginning of the practice. We do 2 special teams a day in our practices. Our kids know we do it right away at the beginning to show them how important it is. But our philosophy is that we want to make sure that they understand the importance of that part of the game, and it's part of the game that can win us games. So we make sure we go over those things.
Okay, so I'm again, you brought something up and I'm taking notes. Okay, your one word play call offense and defense. Just kind of touch base, and you don't have to give any top secret thing out or anything. I don't even, like I said, we're
Yeah, it's no
I
top
mean,
secrets.
yeah, I know, right? We all have secrets, right? We all steal from each other anyway. But just as a young coach, okay, and I'm listening to this podcast, just go in depth and explain what your one word play calling for offense and defense is.
So, when I took over, coming into it, the different coaches have been through, a lot of them was those long play calls that you have to listen to everything they go through. And we want to try to make it simple for our kids that they can just hear the one word and know exactly what we do. So a lot of stuff we do is through colleges and states. So they
Okay.
all know it, play driven through colleges and states. So we can have a Georgia, we can have an Alabama, we can have a Illinois, Iowa, those things. But then that's the one word that's our base play offensively. But we can have tags off that. I guess some of the RPOs that we do, we can tag the running back to do something a little different with things we do. So they can hear Iowa. We can change the protection. We can go from 6 man to 5 man protection just from just putting the tag on or those things. So
Okay. Okay.
our kids know the fundamentals because we don't tag it as much in our freshman group or even our sophomore group. So they found out early to play. And then once they get to varsity, now they start figuring out the tags that go off of it. So that's the kind of level we try to go with. The same thing defensively. A lot of our stuff defensively is one word. It all comes together. We're not trying to have a bunch of blitzes and a bunch of different coverages. Then we just want to make sure our guys play fast. We'll go with one word scenarios for them also. And the good thing about the one word thing is when we go scout team, we see a team that runs something similar than us, then we just call it that play. And the kids know that right
Yeah.
away what it
Yeah.
is. So sometimes the scout book they can see it, but then we say, hey, we run in Alabama. And they, oh, boom, we know what that is. And it just helps us out real quick and have our scout team going a lot faster and giving us a good look on those scout team days. So
Good.
that's what
Yeah.
we mean about the one word.
Okay.
I got away from the I right pro left 32
Yeah.
blast, yeah, which that was early. And I got away from that because it's just something I want our kids to hear it, know what they want to do, and play a little fast.
Right. I mean, if you can get the one word and you get the formation, and again, we did some of this at Drake under Coach Ware, but just saying it and the kids, boom, they line up and they're playing just so fast. I mean, we had like Tua and Breeze and stuff like that, but yeah, it's you find out your kids are operating at a higher speed and more effective. So it's that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it works out too. And we are no huddle team, so we call out the formation first.
Right.
So the formation is called, and they get in the formation, then the play is put in. So it kind of works for us on both ends.
Okay. All right. What's your practice structure or your practice strategies in preparation for the week and opponent?
You know, again, we don't have enough guys to have a platoon type football team. So most of our guys have to practice both sides. We try to platoon on the offense and defensive line best we can,
Mhm, mhm.
but most of our guys got to do both ways. So what we do is we took a philosophy way back where we're going to practice both sides of the ball every day. And we're going to make sure it's organized and efficient as possible. So what we do is we don't do 50-50. We give it a day. Mondays and Thursdays are 50 and 50.
Mhm.
But Tuesdays and Wednesday, Tuesdays is the offensive day where we'll go probably 80% offense and then 20% defense at the end of practice where they still get the chance to go over the plan and things that they learned on Monday. And then on
Right.
Wednesday, we do the opposite. It'd be 80% defense, 20% offense on that day. So that's their day, but we still want to make sure our players every day get offense and defense every single day. We didn't want them to, just go one offense one day, defense the other, then they won't have one for 2 days before they do it. So that's some of the things we do, for practice strategies and things like that. We don't try to waste the kids' time. But one thing I've learned, I used to do those I still do them, but the evaluation at the end of the year. And when I first was the head coach, every time I got those evaluations back, that was one of the things that always kept coming up. Like, man, can practice be short? And, we out and they were. I mean, I was out there 2.5 hours when I first started. And that's what I thought was the way you do it.
Right, right.
The longer you out there, the harder it is. And that just kept coming up my first 3 years. And I was like, things got to change. So I started talking to people like everybody else. And so we figured out we need to, we can still do the same things we did. We just have to be more efficient in what we did. So we have become more efficient. And as little as just getting managers out there with water bottles, instead of taking a water break, or guys knowing what the next step. Our kids are know what we're doing. So we're not changing up practice much, so they know what the next step is. And giving names to every drill, so they know what the drill is. Instead of
Correct.
what we're doing, I got to explain the drill. They know what the drill is. We go over that all summer, so we just call out that drill. It's set up and we're ready to go. So we just try to make sure we're more efficient than we were before, and try to waste no time and get the kids in and out. And they really appreciate that.
Okay, so I got two questions because you explained it, and I got one for you. How often are
Got you.
you daily? Are you working special teams daily, or what's your period for special teams?
Yes, what I said earlier was we do all skill type special team stuff every day. So right before
Okay,
practice, we're working on catch and punch. We're working on kicking. We're working on catching kickoffs. Everything spread long snapping. Every single day we do that at the beginning of practice. But then we pick two special teams a day to work on. Okay, so two
okay,
special teams every day we go over to work on. So we start right at the beginning of practice with one, and then the other one can be mixed. It could be in the middle of practice or the end. We kind of mix that up a little bit, but we do at least two a day. But every day we working on skill special teams, no matter what that is, from getting kickoff to getting down. We work on something at the beginning of practice every single day for special teams.
okay. Now my second question is for meetings, your preparation for meetings with your staff and then with your players. I mean, every in certain circles, some people meet on Saturdays and they're off on
Mhm.
Sundays. Some people meet on Sundays, bringing the kids in on Sundays. What's your structure?
Well, we meet on Sundays as a coaching staff. Everybody's off on Saturday. Again, that's something else. I used to do Saturdays, but we have tons of kids that had to go to game invites,
Right.
all
Yep.
kind of stuff.
Yep.
Coaches got their kids soccer and that stuff. So what we do now, and we've done it for a while now, it's nothing new, but we don't the kids don't do anything on Saturday. We don't do anything on Saturday. So we meet as a staff on Sunday. We meet right about 1, give them time to go to church, do what they need to do. And we come in around 1 on Sunday. All the stuff is done. Everybody got their own set on what they need to do. So we just bring everything in from the game film, the grading from the last game to what we saw for this next game. Then we meet as a staff on that Sunday. I tell everybody, what's going on, and give them the whole scoop of what's going on this week and what happened last week. And we break down offensively, defensively, kind of go through the same stuff from there. Then our kids come in at 3 on a Sunday, and we bring them in, and we go over team meeting, give out our awards, and that's when we give out that gold standard award and offensive, defense, those things. And then after that, we watch film offensively, then defensively, then we let the kids go. And we're not there more than an hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half for our kids. They're in and out at 3 o'clock and get out probably 4:15, they out the door. And then if we need to meet afterwards, we do. And that's probably at the beginning of the year, we meet more afterwards. We didn't finish up stuff, but as we get more together and things like that, by the middle of the season, we be done by the time the kids get there at 3.
Okay. All right. So this is, and again, you only got two more questions. I got the one good question because, again, we're celebrating Black History Month. There's two pioneers talking, and then the second one is this goofy question that I always have, and again, I know what I'm going to ask you. You just don't know. Uh,
I got I
um,
got you.
all right, and this one again, this hits home for me. What does it feel like, when I say that you're one of the pioneers as a black coach in our state? What does that mean to you? What does it mean for your student body, and the impact that we have on other young men that want to go into the careers that we hold?
It's humbling and it's heavy at the same time, but in a good way. I understand that I'm standing on the shoulders of people who didn't get the same opportunity to be a head coach as I did. Being a black head coach in Iowa means a lot for me, for coaching football. It represents possibilities for others. I take pride in being with someone other coaches can look up to and say, I can do this, or even my kids or players that want to get into the coaching profession, that I can be a head coach. So I take pride in that. If my presence open up doors, change perceptions, or even inspire the next generation, I guess, of coaches or leaders, that's bigger than any win or loss for me or any record or those kind of things. So
Yep,
I do
amen.
take it seriously. I take it seriously. I understand that, I'm being looked at, and I want to be a role model. I want people to know that it can be done.
It can be done. Yep. Now, is your son still coaching with you?
He is. Yes, he is. He's coached 2 years with me. He's going to be on his third year next year. He coaches our quarterbacks, and he's done a really good job with that.
Okay. If I ever get back in the saddle, I may have to call him first. Be like, hey,
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
my
need
holler. He does a
I need me a good OC. He could sling it now.
man.
He could sling it back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. So he just works with our quarterbacks now, and
That's
he does
good.
a really good job, man. And he relates to the kids. He's a counselor at our school too.
Cool. Yeah.
He's one of the counselors, so he does a good job of relating with the kids. He figured it out way before I did when I was his age. So
Well,
he really does a good job of relating with kids, coming in and understand what it was all about.
And again, I don't know your home life. I don't know what your father was like, a parent, or anything like that. But having a male role model who's a coach and who's a father figure, and that's well known, that helps you. I mean that. I
No,
mean,
definitely.
I'm
Yeah,
looking at my two sons and actually all my kids, and I'm just looking like, man, I wish I had that kind of support system and guidance and the ability
definitely.
to have the door opened up for me like that. So,
Definitely. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
yep.
And that's good for him. And I'm proud of him. He does a good job.
All right. Here's my bonus question. Now I know I talked about the Loris, you're a Loris all conference player and all these wonderful things. And what many people don't know is you're from the Chi, they called it, okay? Chicago, Chi Town. So here's my question. Are you a hand the ball off to Walter Payton type of guy? Or are you give it to the fridge kind of guy?
Oh, the fridge.
You remember that, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're
Okay,
talking about.
yeah, just say that's
85. Yeah, that was my time, 85. But hey, I probably I'm a Walter Payton type of guy. I want to give it to my athlete and watch him do his thing. Yeah, I was born and raised watching those two guys coming up, and I still remember celebrating. It was yesterday for me. It seemed like yesterday, that '85
right.
championship, the Super Bowl shuffle, and all those things. So I remember those times. But I definitely love to see Walter Payton run. I was one of the biggest fans. One of the things that got me into football, sitting with my grandfather watching Bears games and watching Walter Payton do his thing and Willie Gault catching passes, Jimmy Man. Oh man, I could just go on and on with those guys. So those are the times. But if you had to ask me what I would like to do, that's probably I would give it to the athlete and let him do his thing. He can make some things work. We've had our share of athletes at Waterloo West in the backfield, so I
Hey,
got a chance to still see some guys make some plays back there.
hey, I tell you, see, you were all worried about my goofy question, but I again, being a football nut, man, that's a good. And when you get someone from Chicago and you got to ask that question, you got to say,
I
okay,
got you, man. I was worried about you,
yeah,
man. I didn't know
nah,
what you was gonna have on me on that one.
no, no, and I like I said, you do a good job. But
I appreciate it.
I will say this too to wrap this up, coaches, and again, anytime that you need anything from Lonnie, he's an open book. So, Lonnie, if I had to get a hold of you, email, cell phone, whatever, how could I reach you?
It's probably best through email. They can probably get me at MOOREL at Waterloo Schools with an S at the end.org.
Hmm.
I'm more than welcome to talk. That's where I'm at today. I've talked to many of other coaches. I still remember when I first started. In fact, before Huddle had the what you call it, the grouping or whatever they did, would put all the film in one group now.
Yeah.
The pool. Before the pool, you had to actually ask the team and request film.
Mm.
And I still remember asking to request Dowling's film. And then I get an email from coach from Dowling, like, what do you need? I was like, I'm just a young coach, man, just learning football. I just want to see what you guys do. So he was more than welcome to send me the film and talk to me about it and those things. So it's been many of coaches who have sat me down and get me on the road that I am today. And I've talked to plenty of guys, even Andre Meeks, who was one of the guys who helped me in starting out when he was here in Waterloo. I'm more than welcome to help anybody that needs help. It's all together. We learn from each other.
Oh, that's true. Again, Coach, thank you for your time. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to another episode of the IFCA Journal Podcast. Like I said, I got a couple nuggets out of this. So hopefully you did. And as I always tell you, coaches, keep grinding. Thank you.